when you guys were going through that, right, at that time, particularly you, like, did you know that at some point life was going to change for you?
Me. So again, if I sat there with the other three partners, they'd be like, "Oh, I only wanted this, only wanted that, only thought we was gonna have this." I always knew what I was gonna have.
Right.
I always knew that I was gonna take this company and I was gonna be the biggest thing,
Right.
because that's what I wanted to do. Like it was just what I was doing, and I don't care what happens. I don't care what's gonna happen. I don't care how long it's gonna take. I'm gonna do it. And again, that's why I always appreciate you, because you had that idea from 2000. And you were like, I'm gonna keep going with this idea, and I'm gonna keep going, and I don't care what's happening, I don't care why it's not working, because it is working. Because if you just keep going, it'll work.
All right. So, Markuann, with the idea of Godfather of Harlem, first, why Godfather of Harlem? And then tell us about that day when things just changed for you.
Well, I used to come up to, we're in Frederick Douglass right now. We're in Harlem as we're talking. And I used to go down to Lenox Terrace, and every Sunday I used to have this conversation with my godmother. Her name was Margaret Johnson. Margaret Johnson is the young lady in Godfather Harlem, played by Demi Singleton. Demi's an amazing young actress. She played Serena Williams in King Richard. And Margaret used to tell me these magical stories of Harlem, how she used to walk out of a tenement building and smell fresh laundry hanging out of the window. Or walk past 125th Street, look up and see James Brown's name on the marquee. Or walk past Sugar Ray Robinson's barbershop, she may see his pink Cadillac outside, look inside, may see Nat King Cole waiting to get a haircut, may see Jackie Wilson getting a haircut, walk out and may hear Sam Cooke's voice coming out of a transistor radio. But she used to also tell me about how African Americans were trying to escape Bull Connor's dogs and water hoses and migrated up north, whether it was in DC, Philly, Newark, or even Harlem. They were trying to get a better life, the American dream. And she used to tell me how it was one of those tumultuous times for African Americans in the 60s, how an African American might try to go purchase a hat in Harlem, and the store owner says, you know what, you need to put the shower cap on your head, because they didn't want the hat to touch their black scalp. Or how a father of four worked all week and says, you know, I want to treat my family to a steak dinner. How the store owner says, you know what, you can't eat with the rest of the patrons, but I'll give you a meal to go for your family. But she also told me about her grandfather. The streets know him as Bumpy Johnson, but his name is Ellsworth Raymond Johnson. And he didn't come up to Harlem to become a gangster. He actually came up to Harlem to become a lawyer like Malcolm X. When he went to City College and applied for financial aid, the bursar said, you don't give financial aid to people of color. When they found out that Ellsworth Raymond Johnson was a black man. So he took the cards that life dealt him and played it the best way he could. He was the only African American underworld boss that sat down with the five families. I'm talking about the Italians, the root of the La Cosa Nostra, our thing. Lucky Luciano, Bugsy Siegel, Meyer Lansky, Frank Costello, Vito Genovese. These are the guys that started the Italian mafia. They didn't look at Bumpy Johnson like he was a nigger. They looked at him like an African American male that knew how they could use him to be the conduit to bring drugs into Central and West Harlem from Pleasant Avenue. The warden at Alcatraz said that he had the highest IQ he ever saw for a person of color. There's rumors that he beat Bobby Fischer in chess. He was a self-published poetry writer. He read Nietzsche, he read Shakespeare. But all he wanted to be was a black man that was respected in America. So I made her a promise over 20 years ago that I would go out there and get the true story of who her grandfather was. Not the one that you saw in American Gangster, not the one that you saw in the Cotton Club, not the one you saw in Hoodlum. He didn't die in front of 20 to 30 TVs like they showed in American Gangster. He actually died in my character's arms, Junie Berger, which was his protege. eating chicken and waffles at this restaurant called Wells. So I made her a promise a long time ago, and that's how it came about.
So what was that day like when it went from being, when everything went from being thought in a dream?
Let me tell you something, brother. I tell people all the time, I get stories all the time. You don't have any idea how hard it is to sell a TV series. Forrest Whitaker's my big brother. We were pitching stories together. Chris Brancato, who created the TV series Narcos, is in the room with me. Rest in peace, Paul Eckstein, in the room with me. Jim Atchison in the room with me. Nina Yang Bon Jovi, Forrest's partner, in the room with me. We're sitting down in a room. It's not just me, Markuann pitching. Forrest is pitching. He's an Academy Award-winning actor. He just did The Last King of Scotland in Netflix. Chris Brancato created the TV series Narcos, the biggest TV show to me that put Netflix on the map. Narcos. And they're telling us no. So imagine me going through this with Stars when they turned us down. Stars actually turned us down twice. Ari Emanuel walked me back in. Ari is the president of WME, William Morris Endeavor. Chris Albert turned us down twice. Apple turned us down.
I wouldn't turn it down.
First of all, they said, you know what? It's too pricey. Second of all, said it wouldn't work. Why it wasn't work? Because it's urban. It's a black show. That's what it is. But look at Black Panther. Oh, that's just an anomaly. And I'm sitting here with A-listers. So I came back to New York. I mean, I was dead broke. And this goes to the ramen noodles, tuna fish conversation I just had. In January of 2018, I didn't know what I was going to do, brother. I'm looking outside my window, looking at the skyline. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? I get an email from my showrunner who says this was a noble failure. It's a noble failure? What the fuck am I, King Arthur? The fuck out of here. Like, did I just take a sword out the stone, Excalibur? Like, a noble failure. You can go do the next Sherlock Holmes 2 with Robert Downey Jr. in the Hamptons and get fed by his private chef. Forrest could do another movie and get an Academy Award. This has to happen for me. So I got another call, a text message, email that says, oh, there's a new person over at this network called Epix. Now Epix is a network that no one would know about, but it was a big network because when I say big network, it was owned by Viacom at the time. And the president, his name is Michael Wright. He just left TNT and he's looking for the next Narcos type of vibe, right? Our show has nothing to do with Narcos, but when you're dealing with executives in suits, they just go on what
was popular.
What was popular at the time. So at the time, my showrunner Chris Brancato always says you have to learn how to manage your expectations. And I remember he told me that when we were shopping in LA, and he was nervous. He was smoking his blunt. We were in Malibu. No, excuse me. We were in Venice Beach. He was walking up and down the water, and I was driving. No, he was driving. I was in the passenger seat of his Maserati. He said, "If I see this show up on Sunset Boulevard, I'm gonna kiss your brown ass." He said, "Because I gotta learn how to manage my expectations." Right. That's what he was about. So fast forward, February, he was saying the same thing, but he said, "You know what? We have a meeting set up with him." This is a true story. I couldn't make it back to LA because I was broke. So I went and got a haircut, and I'm laying on my mother's couch. And my mother has the audacity, because my mother is one of them type of mothers. It says, "Baby, won't you try something different?" Try what? This is all I know. You know? I had my phone off. My little brother was outside in the driveway talking, playing around with his peoples, whatever. I was in no mood for anything because I knew this was my last chance. I came outside, took my phone off, turned my phone on, and saw 7 missed calls. I picked up the last one, and it was Forrest. He said, Markuann, why you not picking up your phone? I said, what up, man? He said, we just sold it in the room. Are you ready to play your character? And y'all screamed like a bitch in heat. And then I went upstairs and was like this, to my mother. And my mother flew all over the place. I was like, there you go for telling me trying something else. So, you know, it was just a surreal moment. It was a surreal moment for me. Because people always say that they believe in you. To be honest with you, family, friends, but they're not going through that struggle with you. Until it happens, and then your mama says, oh, that's my baby boy. Oh my God, you see my baby. So, you know what I'm saying? It happens like that, but that's just the human element.
All right. Cut.